Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Diana Mayfield, and I'm the head of content here at Design Files. Today, we have a super exciting workshop with Emily Yeates of Urban Revival. Emily is going to give you the strategies you need to stop managing contractors and get rid of a whole lot of stress in your business. Welcome, Emily.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is really
Yes.
fun.
Yes, thank you for being here. I'm really excited about this one. Got to preview the slides, so I know that we have a lot of good stuff coming and that you've put so much effort into the visuals and examples. So yeah, I am really, really excited to have you here with us and to dive into this today. I think this is gonna, relieve a lot of mayhem for our
Yeah.
designers. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So with that said, I am going to let you hop straight into the slides. I am
Okay.
going to hop off and I'll come back for Q&A. So everybody, as you are watching, please feel free to interact with Emily and ask questions, pop them in as they come up, and then we'll get to them during Q&A.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to do this because I have been with Design Files from the very, very beginning. And so I'm a huge proponent, and I know a lot of you love it as well. And I reached out when I realized maybe I was doing something a little bit unique with Design Files, and I wanted to kind of talk about it and show you guys. So I am Emily Yeates. My design firm is called Urban Revival. We are here in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area. And I also am owner of The Business Edit by Urban Revival. And we take designers from where they are to where they want to be. And we help them basically skip the learning curve. And Design Files has been a big part of it. And it's definitely something that we make everyone who joins our program sign up for. So, a little bit about me. I have two kids, a high schooler and a fifth grader. Everyone says I look too young to have a high schooler, and that's because I pretty much am. I grew up around construction in the kind of the luxury real estate market. And when I was in high school, my mom decided to stop building spec homes. She no longer wanted to be a contractor. She wanted to focus simply on selling real estate, but her clients still called her for advice. And so she would send me along to their homes and help them with their projects. So this has really been, it was a hobby for me for a long time. And then as my kids got a little bit older, I turned it into a career. And just as I was super young, I started buying like the ugliest house on the street. They were all just like cat pee infested, disgusting places. But I really wanted a nice home. I grew up around nice homes and I was willing to do whatever it took to get it. So I went to Home Depot. It felt like every day, bought tools, started remodeling our house, and we sold it 8 months later and just continued doing that for years. And I loved working with my hands. I learned to roof, or like re-roof our houses, weld, plumb, tile, like anything. I was always in the crawl spaces in the attic getting something done. It was just always disgusting, but I just really loved design and I wanted to make sure I could make it happen any way I could. Eventually, I got really tired of doing that with toddlers on my hips. So I started hiring probably the worst contractors of all time. They were the only ones I could afford. And it felt like I'm going to skip slides, get behind. Um, it working with bad contractors, it felt like it was just easier for me to do everything myself. So not only was I spending money on the contractor, but then I was having to fix everything and I just got so burnt out. But along the way, I learned like so many ins and outs of construction, and that really gave me the confidence I needed to go and work with other clients. And so as I would finish these flip homes, and I added some photos on here because when I say I'd buy the ugliest house on the street, like I really mean it. A lot were historic properties that hadn't been lived in for 40, 50 years, were falling apart. and they would always sell for like the highest per square foot at the time in those neighborhoods. So contractors were starting to reach out to me, and I convinced them to, let me design it, stage it, and photograph it as like a single package to build my portfolio. And I do not recommend that. It was the hardest I'd ever worked for the least amount of money, but it helped me get my foot in the door. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. But I started, in design files, just giving clients mood boards. And then eventually I had a longtime client ask if I was going to provide, any electrical or rough-in measurements for a huge project we had got. And he knew our deliverables needed to be better. And I was like, of course, I'll get those to you next week. And so over the weekend, I learned SketchUp, thanks to YouTube, and slowly just he and I together built our businesses, always striving to be better and better every step of the way. And then over the last, 3 to 5 years, gotta skip ahead too. We've been averaging about 21 projects a year. And we've been featured in a lot of really, really cool publications. I was able to rebrand from kind of that like DIY wannabe blogger to an actual luxury interior designer. And just rebranding helped me get where I wanted to go. A lot of things helped me get where I wanted to go, but I was able to finally like get over the imposter syndrome that I had from just being a college dropout. And I became very, very intentional about what I needed to do next. So I like to show you guys this slide simply so that you can see, like, this is where I started in 2020, and I grew throughout the year, and growth was exponential because I was very intentional about what I was doing, and that I no longer wanted to stay in this like burnout, spin out phase. I really wanted to grow. And so in 2020, I started like dabbling in wholesale furniture. I promise we're going to get to spec books, but started dabbling in wholesale furniture. And I decided in 2021, I was going to do more branding, hire whatever consultants I needed, a full-time operations manager, a technical designer. And I didn't care if I didn't take home a penny. Like, I was just so determined to have an actual business. I wanted a career. I did not want to just fiddle around anymore. And so that year in 2021, we did 1.5 in gross sales. So as you can see, it just continued to grow. But I will point out in 2021, about halfway through, I was diagnosed with an incurable brain tumor. And my saving grace during that time was that I'd worked so hard to get our systems and processes in place to be so efficient that I was able to just let my team run, the engine run, whether I was in surgery, daily radiation, chemotherapy, which just barely ended at the end of 2023. We were able to keep moving and growing. And a lot of it is by the way that we use design files. And so, like, just doing that many projects and dealing with life as well, like, I really, really needed consistent results. And I couldn't waste my time anywhere. There was like no time to waste. So we needed efficiency at like the highest level. And I was incredibly, incredibly lucky to be able to hire a full-time systems consultant for 3 years. We worked together for 3 years. I taught her everything I knew about design. She taught me everything she knew about systems, and we just problem solved and tried like things over and over in different ways over and over until we felt like we had really freaking nailed it. And by the time we felt that way, we put together the Business Edit program. And so I wanted to share a little bit about that with you today. So you've got a little background. and know why I was so determined to get where we are today. And one of my really big goals during that time, thanks to like anxiety deep down inside about dealing with bad contractors, was that I wanted my spec book to just be the best one a builder's ever worked with. And so we worked with our technical designer. I started out working with people just on like Upwork, outsourcing things. And for I think about 3 years, I kept a journal in my purse and I kept track of every call I got from, builder, contractor, subcontractor, client asking a question about the project because I wanted to make sure I added that question to a checklist that I was making, this master checklist, to make sure I answered that question before anyone could even ask me. And so my goal was to receive 0 calls during the builder remodel and make 0 site visits unless I wanted to. Flipping houses during that younger phase of life with really bad contractors created so much stress inside of me that it was just something I didn't want to do anymore. So what we did, and I was really, really also lucky to work with my longest time builder client is a perfectionist. And I wanted to like impress him. So both of us were growing our businesses at the same time. And the way that I want to show you how I use design files is, so if any of you haven't used the template feature, I highly recommend it. I started putting these in place. My templates aren't gorgeous, I'll admit it. You can do a lot prettier things on Canva is what I tell the designers I work with, but I say, get rid of it. You're not using it ever again. Design Files has really made it easy for us to make these mood boards look beautiful, and they're getting better and better. But I made a very simple template with my logo up top. And then it's kind of hard to see if you're on a small screen, but this one says kitchen. And so I created a template for every single room in a project that could possibly be in a project. And what I did is if you're very familiar with design files, you'll realize that you can have text, and if it's not on the board, your client can't see it at all. So we took that checklist that I had been making for years, and I just drag it off the side. So this is my kitchen checklist. Drag it off to the side. And these are our elevation checklists that I want to make sure I have as well. And this, as I'm creating this mood board, just reminds me of all the little things I need to make sure that I include so that when I go to make the finish schedule, I haven't forgotten something. And so all of these things on this list, it's not like I want them clogging up the pretty board. So I will just drag them down below so at least they show up in the product list. And as we go throughout our project, there's some things that a client might decline. I drag those off to the left side and I hide them. So at least, myself, given that we're doing 20 to 21 projects a year, I know what the client's already declined, or a team member knows what they've declined. So like for example, there's a disposal flange on here. I don't want to show that on my pretty board. I will drag that down below so it's at least in the product list. So this is just simply what a kitchen template looks like when I open it up. You'll, recognize this. This is a kitchen mood board for a project. And we've got a lot of items on here. And that is kind of what it looks like, maybe towards the end where we're wrapping up the full design. I've got these extra things down here that I don't want to show on the board. I've got the items that my client has declined to the left, so I don't, maybe keep offering them up when they've already declined them. And then I just make sure I've got all of these things planned for as I move into the next phase. And so same with appliances, we make sure we haven't forgotten the warming drawer, the microwave drawer, the hood insert, all of those things. And then we also drag our renderings into design files as well. I really like the feature I love about design files is that your client can decline and accept or comment on things. And something we do as a firm that has been very critical, and hopefully I get to do another webinar on it soon because it's just the coolest process we do, is that we make them accept or decline every single item before we move on to our next phase. So this keeps everyone in line and everyone on the same page. So you'll see we've got renderings of every view. And then these are our CAD elevation drawings. And this is where the magic happens. So whether your contractor is experienced or not, he can see the visual here, but he also has all of our elevation drawings here with every dimension he could possibly need. So I'll point out like a few of my favorites on here. Sconce light location, hood depth. Sometimes we draw the front of the hood, but forget to tell everyone how deep it's going to be. If you zoom in, you get to see that, I'll try to zoom in myself. I'm not familiar, but that this is a 12-inch pole, this is a 8-inch pole, and this is exactly where it goes. So when the installer is there, he's not calling me and asking me where I want the hardware placed. I get to say this is on page 8. Someone asked if these are all on the mood boards, and if a project is small enough, we will drag these on the mood boards just so the client knows it's done, but we make sure that they are in the contractor's like digital spec book online so that they can zoom in, they can print them large if they want. They always have the live updates. So we will screenshot these and drag them into design files if it's a small enough project. But sometimes we've got like 80 boards depending on how big the project is, and we'll just leave the elevation drawings in like a Google Drive folder. But this is so that, we don't get calls. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to make sure that my team is over delivering before I give anything off to a client. And I tell these designers that I work with, if you don't have the time, the technical ability, you're going to hire it out. It's going to cost you, a little bit, but when you factor paying maybe $1,000 more for a technical designer versus visiting the site 20 times and having to have things fixed and repaired, and it's a no-brainer. So we make sure every detail is in here. We use Google Drive to give everything to the contractor. Saw that question? So let's see what else is in here. I just really want to point out. Same with all of our light fixtures. There will be a page. Let me go back and find it. How high to hang the light fixture? We all get those calls, right? The electrician is there. How high do I hang the light fixture? And nothing makes me happier than to say, reference your spec book, it's there. And then they go, oh yeah, let me go. I just missed it. Let me go back and find it. So, yeah, that's kind of a little tiny glimpse into our spec book and how we use the templates to make sure our checklists are in there. And so I recommend to everyone to just keep a book, whether it's on your phone, in your purse, whatever you need. So any call you are getting, you are notating it and you are adding it to your systems and processes. So I just can't believe it's probably been, honestly, 2-3 years since we've been requested to come on site because maybe we didn't provide enough information for something to be done. And I want to make sure I get all these notes out there, but so what we discovered once we really nailed down our spec book And a little bit about that. What we do is we got these beautiful linen binders. We print everything off for our client. So all of our design file mood boards, all of our CAD elevations, our finish schedule. And then we have these Velcro pouches, and we put finish samples in there. If it's a huge project, it might be 3 binders. But that way, if their contractor orders a tile in wrong, like the tile that we specified is in there, they can reference it. But what we do tell our client and our contractor, once the spec book is finished, we schedule a pre-con meeting with client, with contractor. He's welcome to invite all his subs if he wants. Most of the time it's just him. And we go through that physical spec book, and we go through every page. We walk him through everything, see if he has any questions. And then we give it to our client and we say, client, this is yours. It is not to leave the site. It is not your contractor's. He has his own digital spec book, but this is for you. And we really like that because the contractor then knows the client can follow along and make sure everything is happening exactly how it should. And not only that, it's a beautiful book and they love to show their friends. So great marketing tool. But what we realized is that when we would go through these projects and not get any calls, at first we would be a little bit nervous. Like, did it get done right? Did the client make a change? And they really didn't. We'd show up to install furniture and it was done perfectly. Even when they had a horrible contractor, I'll tell you a little story about that. The client had what they needed to say, that's not right. And you had all the information you needed, fix it. And so designers, no matter how long they've been in the industry, 10, 15, 20 years, still tell me, like, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that happening. How do you make sure it's getting done right? And what I think all I can say to them is that, like, if you go on site to manage them or manage their subs, they will let you. And when you say, I'm here for you, you can call me anytime, no matter day or night. I'm here for you if you need me, but I'm not managing you. That expectation is set. And then when they do call, being able to say, see page 7, it's in the finish schedule. You'll find it here. They eventually learn to be self-sufficient on their own. And when you don't leave anything open for interpretation, you're helping yourself out on not getting those calls, right as you're sitting down for dinner. So let's see what else I don't miss anything. I think the biggest relief of doing an incredible, fully done spec book and over delivering is that your clients are going to hire cheap contractors and they're no longer your problem. And so I had a client maybe a year and a half ago who hired maybe the worst contractor I'd ever witnessed. He had only done flips, and like when he'd go, he'd just pick up whatever was at Floor and Decor, whatever tile, and just tell his guys to do whatever they wanted to do. So he really wasn't good at reading plans, finish schedules. He had never worked like that. But this client was a luxury client, and they demanded that he do what I tell him to do in my spec book. And they would call, every so often and say, Emily, you'll never believe what he did. The cabinets were supposed to be green and they're gray because he bought them off of like Home Depot's website. And I was able to just say, oh, I'm so sorry. That is awful. I'm going to send you guys a spa gift card. Go relax, maybe fire him. This might be the time to fire him. But if you can't, I'm really sorry. Let me know how I can help. But he has all the information he needs. And so that was just like the definition of success for me, to no longer have to feel like they're my problem. So I also found that after implementing all of these things that I had so much less face time with my clients. And so I found interesting ways to make sure they saw my face, that we still had a personal connection. And even that client who I just told you that story about, they had the worst remodel experience. I can't imagine anyone having a worse remodel experience. But they texted me the other day and saw my sign in another client's yard and said, oh, they only think they know how happy they're going to be. They don't understand how truly happy they're going to be with their house. So it was just so refreshing that their bad contractor was not my problem. So I feel like I finally found happiness once we started doing this with remodels, because there was a point in time where I was like, I don't want to do a remodel ever again. And now I don't care if it's a remodel or a new build, it's all the same. It's still the same process, and just being really, really confident in our spec book has made all the difference in the world. So I am going to try to go back through and see. Maybe it's time for our Q&A now.
Hello, hello. Okay,
Hello.
that was really awesome. That was really awesome. Yes. I the difference between this is my problem, this is your problem, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So important.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me hop in and see some questions here. Okay, how do you get live updates on the elevations package in Google Drive?
Okay, so what if I'm trying to think? The only time we've ever had to really make changes to a spec book after we've delivered it to a client, to a contractor, is if like something was out of stock, right? Or they couldn't get something. And so we had to redraw a hood. Recently, we had to do that. We redrew it for the contractor, and we just re-uploaded the right CAD file, like an updated CAD file, and it has the updated date on it. And we archived the old one, and then we just resend it to the contractor saying all drawings are now updated.
Okay, got it. I'm going to pop your link. Okay, so Emily has made a spec book checklist that everybody can download. I'm just going to pop that in the comments so people can grab that while we're going through some questions. And then, so do you use SketchUp for the technical drawings?
We do. So we use SketchUp for our 3D renderings. And then back before I had a technical CAD girl, I was using SketchUp for all my technical drawings. And I think that's perfectly fine. And even if, like, I'll tell designers that aren't even really, really good at SketchUp yet, that if just find another way to communicate what you need to communicate, right? Like if you don't know how to draw a very specific cabinet detail, find a picture of the cabinet and label it in detail exactly how you want it, or just find ways to communicate every last little detail, even if you feel like, this is silly. They're never going to ask for the plumbing tear sheets or the lighting tear sheets. Like, I don't care. I still deliver them. I still give them to them.
Right, because it's better to have that up front, and
Yep.
that way you have that complete solution as this is your book.
Yep.
So even if they don't look at it, you're saving yourself from training them to ask you, right?
Yeah, I don't want to get that phone call later.
Right. Okay, so another question is, do you use design files for the specification schedule or a separate spreadsheet such as Google Sheets?
So we will do that, like download in design files, that download to the, what is it, CVS file.
Mm-hmm.
And then we clean that up a lot. We make it look a lot better, because oftentimes we'll have furniture in there, but we will download it from design files and then just clean it up and make it look a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. So our next question is, what exactly is included in the spec book?
Yeah, so if you click on that.
Speaking of contractors, can you hear whatever's happening outside my window? Is that coming in through the microphone?
A tiny bit. It's not bad though. So
okay.
I think the question was, what do we include in our spec book?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this checklist, you'll get it's the checklist of everything we include in the spec book. if you want our room by room like checklist, you'll get that during our business edit program. But we include all the mood boards and design files, at least one board per room. We also include all of our technical drawings, so all of our 2D elevation drawings. We include our 3D renderings are already in our like mood boards, the design files package. I call that like a design deck. Then we have our finish schedule. So that kind of Excel sheet where all the links to anything the builder needs to purchase. If it's something we're going to purchase, it just says see quote by Urban Revival. But like all the grout colors are in there. Everything is in that finish schedule for the client or contractor. So if anyone ever says, are you going to be buying all the materials? It's like only the things labeled see Urban Revival quote. Otherwise, you're responsible for everything else. And then lighting tear sheets, plumbing tear sheets, and appliance tear sheets. And then any samples I want to provide for them. So paint samples, cabinet finish samples. I just over deliver anything and everything that I can.
Mm-hmm. Okay, love that. So do you find that you are leaving money on the table by not managing the full project, including the contractors? Were you able to make up the difference by doing more design work? I get that there are a lot of headaches with managing contractors, but I feel like I have to because of the money.
Yeah. So in the business edit program we do, I get to show you 3 years of complete data. And I know not everyone's going to come join the business edit program today. So I'll just give you a brief overview of that. Is you will not earn enough money managing that contractor to make it worth your time. At least I wasn't. You might have superpowers and be able to charge $100,000 to manage that project. But legally, and I don't know what state you're in, legally, I am not able to manage a contractor. You are opening yourself up for legal issues. And so that I say that in my contract that I am not legally able to manage your contractor. I will be here for him any day, night. He calls, I answer. That's what I tell every client. Even though I tell them I don't manage your contractor, I'm so confident in Spec book that he can call me anytime and he will be the first person I call back. Like it is very important for me to keep contractors moving and rolling. And so a big part of my business edit program too is teaching designers how to do wholesale furniture. And we were able to go from, maybe only having 3 projects a year that were furnishing projects to now maybe only 3 projects per year that aren't furnishing projects, just by how we take that incoming client call, how we talk about furniture in the beginning, how we bid doing furniture for clients. We bid it if we're doing a remodel or a build, we bid the furniture design part pretty dang low so I can ensure I get that job, because there is so much more money in furnishing. So 80% of our revenue now is from furniture. Only 20% is from service fees. And managing a contractor would take up so much time that I can't keep selling those good jobs. Like that's a full-time job managing a contractor. So just by putting in a little more effort in the beginning in your spec book opens you up to making so much more money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. We got a couple of questions about like purchasing. So one is, do you purchase any of the product? Do you buy the finishes yourself, tiles, counters, etc., or do you just give the specs to the contractor for them to buy?
So I tell all of like my business edit girls, if you found a way to make a good amount of money on things, keep buying them. But what I have found that if I'm slow, I might buy the tile. I might buy the plumbing. If I am not slow, I am leaving those things off the table. I do not want to deal with them because that the tile installer measured wrong and you're going to need to spend 2 hours reordering 3 pencil trims. Like it's not worth our time to do that. And I would rather have the contractor order it, because I've had clients say, hey, we have 4 extra boxes of tile. I'd like to return it. It was very expensive. And I I try to make sure I make enough money on every project that I can say, absolutely, let me figure out how to do that. But you might have to eat it. You might have to eat it. So I would rather the contractor be buying those things, but things like light fixtures, I'm buying. Mirrors, I am buying. Hardware, I don't make enough money to care to bother with it.
Okay.
Pretty much the things I've found I make money on, I do it. If I'm not doing it.
Smart. Let's see. What's a good place to start when searching for someone to do technical drawings?
Oh, that's such a good question. And I think it kind of depends on your network, but I have found that joining groups like maybe IDS locally and asking around, does anyone have a good technical designer? Or there's things like Upwork where you can find a technical designer. I haven't loved that. I had to redline it too much. But just asking around, asking design friends. I've had a lot of success doing that. I've now had my technical designer for like 5 years, because she's someone that is a perfectionist and doesn't want to talk to clients. And so if you're looking for the right personality, it's like, look for that person that will stay with you a long time because they're not trying to go off and start their own design business, right? They want to deliver good drawings. They love CAD, staying at home, don't necessarily want to be client facing. So I've had really good luck with that. And yeah, I've just, a lot of my other design friends that are really good at what they do, they just have contract employees that do their technical drawings. And so just asking around has been the best.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're specifying specific materials, how often does the contractor then go and buy a cheap version of it? Doesn't that put you in an icky place with your vendor relationships?
That one story I told you guys about that really, really bad contractor is the only time I've ever had that happen. And the client got mad at him and was like, no, I really want the material that Emily specified. And so I think what I've noticed is that and I always present my full presentations, my initial presentation and my full presentation in person, and I lay out every sample. I have a sample for everything, like samples sell. And so I almost in a way make sure that my clients are and contractors like overwhelmed in a way with how much information I'm giving them, that it's like, why would they intervene? Like, it would change too much, right? He would then not get the matching tile trim. He would then not have to pick the different grout color. He would, it would, I just don't come across it very often. And if a client, like a homeowner, chose to do that, I mean, they know I'm here. I tell them if something comes back too expensive, reach out to me. I'll send you something right away. And maybe that's why it doesn't happen very much, is they know that if there's anything too expensive, that I'll swap it out, like for like.
Right. So this is kind of related. Like, how do you explain to clients that you're going to be buying certain items, but not others? And does the contractor or homeowner buy the balance? Or how do you explain to them how that works?
Yeah. So I have a great script for my incoming client calls that I use. And basically I touch on it. I touch on it in that incoming client call. I touch on it in my contract. I make sure the first half of my contract, there's no legalese. It's very straightforward. And I give that contract to my business edit girls to use if they'd like. And it is pretty much along the lines of like, the coolest part about working with an interior designer is that I have access to products that the public doesn't. And so when I feel it necessary that I get you something through one of my design only accounts, I'll propose it, I'll quote it for you. And then you're not buying things that everyone else is buying at the same time. And that makes clients just so excited. And then if they're like, oh, is it expensive? I just say, not always. There's definitely products that are in the same price range as Crate and Barrel or West Elm where you would go. It's just not available to the public. So when I have that conversation up front, that's also how I stop them from sending me links to CB2. I let them know I'm not contracted with CB2 or RH. I don't always work with them. I try not to. I want to use the vendors that I'm confident in.
We are getting a couple of questions as if there's a replay. Yes, there will be a replay. it will be at the top of our Facebook group, and also any posts in the Facebook group that like link to this video. It's the same video or the replay. And when we send the email that's like, click here to watch, that exact same link goes to the replay. So that's the cool thing, is that it's all available at the same link. So yes, definitely, if you missed part of this, definitely go back and watch from the beginning. So let's see. Another question here is, how does the spec book work for furnishings only jobs? How are you keeping clients from going and shopping your selections online?
I don't do a spec book for my only furnishing clients. I just give them quotes, and I change all the names to something generic. And I just make sure my pricing is competitive. If I know they can find it online easily, I might just price it for $50 less. And that usually takes care of that issue. If someone really goes and finds something for a lot less, I just tell them I'll match it if it's, something I can do.
What's the best way to hire a project procurement person to handle quoting, collecting payments, ordering, tracking, deliveries, return, or should I split that up so employees don't know the markup?
Great. I think that's a great question. I have someone in-house. When I got to a point where I was doing enough furnishing projects that I needed to hire someone, I just hired someone in-house. I know there's a lot of purchasing groups. I do not recommend those to my business edit girls, because I show them their income potential when they start doing the furnishing themselves and in-house. And so I've just trained up my people, and now there's a section in our business edit program that if you haven't hired someone, it's a step-by-step how you do it. So when you do hire someone on, that's like their training manual, is how to quote furniture, take care of the claims. I actually helped develop a receiving warehouse in town locally because I saw there was a gap there, but I have lots of tips and tricks in there on how to handle those kind of pain points that come with ordering furniture.
Got it. So I'm not sure I understand this question, but maybe you understand it. Where are you writing "see your revival" quote? Are you writing this in the description area?
Yeah. So in the spec book, there's like a column called link, or in the finished schedule, there's links to like the cabinet hardware that I don't want to order, right? Links to the toilets, links to whatever else. And it just says "see urban revival" quote. There will not be a link to it.
Got it. Okay, I'm going to add your slide back to the stage, so we'll take a little pause on some questions, and you can go through those last couple slides, and then we can take a couple more questions.
Yeah, so pretty much with the business edit program, the next one is at the end of January. I take a group of only 10 girls to the Las Vegas furniture market. I introduce you to my favorite vendors who have helped me make the most money. We go through every single step of my business. I give it to you. You get to see the inside guts of my business. You get all of our systems and processes. You get all of our templates. And I just help everyone readjust their business so that they know when it's time to hire, if they want to hire. We help you stop scope creep. Pretty much everyone said, you just increase my confidence on every level to increase my pricing. Whatever it is, I share every story that I've gone through in the last 17 years where I have learned things. And so if you scan this or screenshot this, this will help you get that downloadable spec book checklist of what we print off and put in our spec books. There's also links to like the binders we use, the pouches we use, the label maker we use. And then when you join the business edit program, you do get all of our checklists in detail. So you can find us on Instagram. It's at Urban Revival PHX. I saw someone say that maybe my business edit website might be down. Hopefully not. I'll check it. But it's a really fun website. There's cool videos on there. And we're always putting little tips and tricks on our Instagram too. But I want to help everyone just skip the learning curve. I grew up in a family of 4 boys, and I wanted to be just as big of a business owner as all of them. And so it's been a really, really fun opportunity to help other women just grow and know if they're doing things, the right or wrong way, or how to improve their businesses.
Love it. Yeah, I think you have such an interesting background too, right? Having gotten into like the flipping thing so young and all of that. So you've probably seen a lot.
Yeah, it's been a lot. Don't recommend.
0 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Let's grab a couple more questions. Thank you so much for giving us all of these awesome details and being here. So let's see, what is our next question? How do you explain to the client that you don't show the vendor on your quotes? What if they want to sit on the sofa, etc.?
Yeah, in our contract up front, we say that we do not share our vendor sourcing. It's spelled out pretty clearly, and I don't know that if someone ever asked me, why, it's like, this is my business, this is my livelihood. I always choose, truth and honesty over confrontation. And if anyone has a brain, they totally get that, right? And I think someone else, what if they want to sit on the sofa, etc. This is where just being really confident in what you do and saying, look, I go to market every quarter or once a year. I sit on everything. If I don't like it, I don't take a picture of it. And I'm really confident in this vendor. You're going to love it. And then they usually say, cool. So having confidence in what you're selling helps a lot.
Yeah, makes sense. What if a furnishing project wants the cheapest items and doesn't want the value to trade, or doesn't understand the value to trade only? They want to stick to Wayfair and sites like that.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And this is where I vet them out during that intake client call, that first call we have. So I don't ever go on site to meet someone. It's always a Zoom call. I talk about this a lot in the business edit program. I want to make sure that I'm flipping that script, right? They're not just interviewing me, I'm interviewing them. And I have a lot of questions that I ask them to pull that out to know are they the Wayfair client, right? And I have this really great quick furniture budget worksheet that if I'm nervous about someone, I send it to them and I let them know this should take you 3 to 5 minutes. It's a purely theoretical exercise. If you were to go out right now and purchase these items because you needed them by the end of today, what would you feel comfortable spending on those items? And I let them know, they don't have to stick to this number. I just want to know which vendors I should source from when I'm working on your project. And then they send it back next day. It took them a couple minutes, and I give them like a left side column that's like good quality, and then a far right side column that's like high end. And so like my left side column might be like CB2 pricing, and my right side column might be like Arteriors pricing, and they fill out in the middle. So they at least have a guide to know. And if those numbers are smaller than like the left side, I just know that I won't be a good fit for them. And I just make sure that my quote to do their project is high enough that they're not going to take me on. So I didn't necessarily have to say no and be rude. So that's how I handle
it. So how long does it take to kind of like go through that process that happens like just after the initial call?
Yeah, it's really, it just takes them. I tell them they're not allowed to spend more than 5 minutes on it.
Got it. Yeah. So that's a quick way to weed out.
Yeah.
Let's see. If it's furnishing only projects, do you charge for specifying or just give them the quotes?
Sorry, if it's a furnishing
If
only
it's
project,
furnishing only projects.
So I always charge a design fee. There's always a design fee, and that covers my time whether they buy anything from me or not. And then the money I make off of the furniture covers me and my team's time up, because sometimes it's 9 months to a year till everything's come in, is installed, perfect. So that's where if anyone, it's in my contract that I charge clients retail. And if anyone ever says, why don't I get your discount? I talk about that. It's a conversation that just says, you know, my design fee covers my time to be creative and design all of your furniture. And then after that, the money we make off of furniture makes sure that I can take care of you. So if anything comes in and it's bad quality and the vendor won't return it, I make sure and I take care of you. So they, as soon as I explain that to them and all the things that could go wrong and why I need to make money during that time, because I've got a small team that tracks all this and schedules everything and files the claims, they're like, oh yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm so glad I don't have to do that.
So your revenue is really design fees and your furniture commissions.
Yeah, 80% of my income is furniture commissions. So that's how the business edit even came about. Was I was absolutely shocked at how few designers do furniture. Once I saw the income potential, and I was like, that's it. I'm taking people to market. I'm showing them how to do wholesale furniture. So they can actually make money now. It was just killing me. And so that's a big part of the business edit. But once we started going, I was like, okay, people need help on all aspects. So I'm going to be an open book about everything. So I see someone said, do you charge MSRP? I do, but I do make sure that if Burke Decor is selling it for less, that I'm competitive with them. The more furniture you do, the more you get comfortable with what things are going to sell for. Someone said, what's the investment for the business edit? So it's technically $12.5. If you sign up during one of our webinars or happy hours, it is $8,500. And so I always recommend scheduling this Zoom call, and I'd like to fill up the kind of the very select few spots we have left. And during our Zoom call, I show you how I'm going to help you make that back in just a 1-bedroom. You'll see how quickly that's going to come back. And every girl that's gone through at this point has said, like, I should have done this way sooner. I didn't realize how quick it was going to come back. It's been incredible. The feedback's been incredible. Someone said, are you ever working hourly? I'm never working hourly. The longer you are a designer, the more efficient you're going to get, the more talented you're going to get, and that hurts you. So you should be charging flat fees. Make sure it's enough to cover your time. And I think it's the only way you really make money. Otherwise, you're trying to justify your hours all the time. You're cutting hours off. So I teach you how to charge hourly. Flat fees.
Right. And that's also helps you explain to your client that, you know, you managing the furniture and you buying the furniture, you making money on it is how you take care of them, right? Because if you were to also like charge for your hourly, like it probably helps with your explanation.
Yeah. And then that also made me think of, so someone asked, can't remember what it was, but a big part of our program is teaching people how to avoid scope creep, that it's 2 rounds of revision. You don't need more than that. And when you follow our systems and processes, every client is like, I can't believe how fast that went. Because we don't move on to the next phase until 100% of everything has been, accepted or declined. And so the design process moves very, very fast, which means we're very efficient in making much more money on that flat fee that we charged. So someone asked too, are we going to High Point next month? I will not be at High Point. We are really hitting hard to be going to Vegas. We just have the best vendors set up there to wine and dine our business edit girls.
Sounds fun. Let's see. If you're handling problems with furniture. Oh, no, wait. Okay, we basically covered that. Looks like you're getting a request for a list of your favorite vendors. So maybe that's your next offer.
Yeah. That is part of our business edit program. Hopefully someday we'll have some things like that available online, but currently you're basically getting a 4-year degree in interior design business over a 3-day period, and then some check-ins over time. So we're not broken up into that yet, but yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, let's take this last question. I find that trade-only vendor prices, when you add the warehouse receival and delivery, is more expensive for clients than if I ordered from retailers.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
deal with
No,
that?
this is an awesome question. And I wish I just had, I've gotten this a few times from some of the girls. I wish I had the script up because um, this is something I am so passionate about. So fact of the matter is that you are an interior designer. You are a luxury. They need you. They're begging you to take on their project and you're only one person or two people, right? And your client can't even comprehend that they're going to be having, 12 different shipments of furniture coming to their house that needs to be open and inspected, and then filing claims. A lot comes in damage, like filing claims on things, like you're not handling that. This is your company. You do it one way, and you're taking a huge, huge weight off of them and providing an exceptional service. So until you realize how valuable you are, I can understand that that's something hard to like wrap your mind around, that, oh, your client could save money. Yes, they could. They could not hire you. They could go shopping themselves. They could buy it. They could ship it to their house, schedule the deliveries, put it together, but it's not going to be even remotely as magical as if you did it, right? The proportions won't be right. The sizes won't be right. So this is a business. You need to put food on the table for your family. You need to protect your time. You don't want to work for free. So you set up your furnishing business in that way. And having a receiving warehouse open, inspect, so you can file claims, it's a full-time job for somebody. So I understand they could save some money, but that's not your job. Your job is to deliver an exceptional service.
Makes sense. We gotta love that explanation. I'm just taking us back to the spec book checklist screen in case anybody wants to grab that freebie. And then I do have one last question because I remembered it was up there and I accidentally skipped it. Is how big is your team at this point?
Yeah. So currently my team is me, lead designer, and then Courtney is our technical designer. I have a full-time operations manager. She lives out of state, but handles kind of all our invoicing, anything back-end business. And then I have someone, I'm very lucky. I have a marketing director who photographs all our projects, handles all our social media, handles all of our furniture orders, files all the claims. I don't need a full-time social media person, right? I wanted to find someone that could do social media, also handle all of our orders. But a lot of my friends sub out that work as well. They'll just hire someone to do those kinds of things for them. But that's the size of my team right now.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Thank you so much for being with us. You are such a
Yeah.
special human, and I'm so happy that you have made it through those crazy health things. I know, yeah,
Yeah.
the health shit is no joke.
Good joke. Yeah.
That's the real stuff. So I'm so happy that we had you here and you got to share with us some of your story as well as, all of this incredible information. We've got a lot of positive feedback on this workshop, which did not surprise me at all because I could tell from our intro chat and from your slides that we were going to get some really good meat here. So I was really
Thank
excited
you.
to have you, and we're definitely going to have you back.
Thank
You are
you. Yeah,
coming
I'm
back.
excited.
Yes. So guys, we've already got a couple ideas lined up with
Mhm.
Emily. So Emily is
Yeah.
definitely coming back in the next few months. Yeah, we're getting tons and tons and tons of positive feedback. Thank you so much for being with us
Oh,
today.
wait, do we have one more second? Because someone
Yeah.
asked, can I tell you why I love design files and why we
Oh
chose
yeah.
them over someone else? So I have tried a few others through the years, but like design files, just a lot. I mean, you're always growing. You're always adding new features. And just the ability to be able to like have my library of everything, create mood boards the way I want them to look. Like the image, like background remover tool works so great to be able to do our quoting, our invoicing, have all our client communication in design files, have that activity tab. Whenever we do an incoming client call, we have all the notes in there. All of our client notes are in there. Like now the task management feature, like I just don't need to use anything else. So we love design files.
Yay, that's so exciting. And as you guys know, the team is like, yeah, always working hard on new things. So that is so wonderful. I will pass that along to our team
Yeah, for
today.
sure. For sure.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank you
much.
so much, everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.